We are on 53-foot aluminum catamaran here in Thailand. My name is Yana, and you can see I sweated to death during this boat tour.
And I'm Captain William, who is not sweating on this boat.
We've been living aboard for the last 7 years.
And finally, we're taking all that experience and wrapping it into one ball, making this vessel an off-grid expedition lifestyle.
Here we have Teak wall, where we're going to be building a coffee bar.
610 watt solar power is up here on the hardtop.
And for those of you who want to see this in real-time updates, make sure to check out Patreon. The link is down below.
One of the most important factors we found after living aboard in 7 years is to not be connected to the grid. So solar, wind, lithium batteries, and DC charging system was the priority. Even in a marina, if we don't have to hook up to a marina, we don't have to worry about galvanic corrosion, eddy currents, and all the other things that are plagued with an aluminum vessel. A catamaran gives you the advantage of a ton of solar because you have all this space that you don't get on a trawler and you don't get on a monohull. Better grab a notebook because we're going to break down this solar. We're going to have 4 610 watt solar powers up here on the hardtop. We're going to have 6 410 watt solar panels on the aft deck, and then we're going to have 25 100 watt solar panels on the front upper deck of the boat, for a total of just under 7,000 watts of solar, which should give us realistically around 5 to 550. Analyzing this system, it's got a motorized traveler, which is amazing, but it actually was too far back and causing a lot of side stress and load when the boom would tack one side or the other. So I moved the traveler further to the front of the vessel, thus distributing the load properly. And the bonus is now I have enough room for all of the solar on the aft deck without doing any extension to the aft deck. We also found out that if you don't have the boom properly placed, it crashes into the hardtop, which causes a real disaster. So I'm going to be lowering the hardtop and changing the angle a little bit, so even if we don't have the boom correctly set and it gets out of control, we're not going to wipe out hardtop and other goodies. On Saba, if you looked at some of our past videos, we did a lot of testing and we went with wind generators. Well, those babies are coming on this boat. Any free power you can get, even at night or if it's gray and cloudy, the wind generators run. They do not produce noise. They give you all night long power. And when under sail, you're getting 800 watts total of power for free. We have huge, large, watertight lockers on the port and starboard side. And I removed everything out of there. We will be building battery boxes, and the LF304s will have dual 24-volt battery banks between 24 and 31 kilowatt on each side, and a switch so we can switch from either port or starboard battery bank. All tucked inside. If there would be a fire or something would happen, melt and fall into the water, but this is way above the water line. So lithium is still a little bit being tested, and I feel comfortable not having it inside with us. We're very fortunate that the boat is rigged and the sails are excellent and everything with the sail plan is fine. So we've been focusing on power, off-grid, and how do we keep this boat and us comfortable when we're not where there's locations. So wrapping all this power up, let's go down and take a look at what I'm creating for a generator system on this vessel. We removed almost 70 kilos of decking that was on this boat. In exchange for that, I'm putting on a 3-cylinder Yanmar diesel engine, which will have a DC generator attached to the back of it. So when the sun and the solar and the other things are not working, we can turn this on, directly charge lithium batteries, and we also have the additional alternator on port and starboard engine. I'll be going more into detail on that because it was a very, very difficult decision for Jan and I to decide if we put another engine on this boat. And we decided we must.
You guys can see the amount of sweat I produce. So we must have air conditioning. That generator better be working. And now let's come inside and see what upgrades we are doing there. And I think it's really hot inside because of that. So air conditioner, yes. In last video you guys saw we were removing the ceiling panels. They were very heavy and they were insulating the boat. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna put teak strips and we're gonna paint them white to a little bit lighten the boat, but also teak will provide insulation. And hopefully our air conditioners not gonna be working that hard. You guys can see we removed all the cabinets finally, and now we are looking at the samples and we're thinking to do a young teak which has a lot of grain to it and it's much cheaper than the old teak. This area yet to remove. Here we're gonna be building a coffee bar. I know, sounds like a luxury on the boat, but you know, like every person, every couple have addictions. Me and William, we don't drink alcohol. We are addicted to coffee. Every place we go, we're looking for coffee shops.
Ooh. Wow. I recommend you to try hot cappuccino.
That's my favorite drink, so I'm gonna try it out.
Ready?
Coffee in Thailand, always amazing. So this is gonna be our indulge station. So let's go downstairs and see what's the progress on that. Here we have a teak wall, which they can use this wall now to attach the teak strips, which we're gonna paint white, floors from teak as well. And I already see the comments coming saying, it's gonna be too heavy.
As you guys should know by now, every single piece that has been taken out of this boat has been weighed, and what's going back in is actually lighter and safer. So the noise that happens in a catamaran is instantly deadened by not only insulation but by wood. Thus why we're using teak, and teak is plentiful in Thailand.
And also teak wood is one of the rarest wood that is not eaten by bug, which is very important on the boat as well because we don't want to have bugs infestation. So here on this side, there's going to be a bunch of storage cabinets. And then starting from about here, we decided to do one bathroom. So thank you guys for those of you who commented about what situation and stuff from the last video. So there's going to be toilet, sink, possibly washing machine, and then shower behind me. Plenty of room. Woo, I definitely will need a shower after this boat tour. The only room we kind of left alone is a master bedroom because we want to keep it small so the air conditioner doesn't have to work that hard because we're going to run the air only in our master bedroom at night so the batteries don't drain too much. So that's why it's going to be a small little cozy thing. And right here where I'm standing was a beautiful bed, and happens that it wasn't attached. Somehow it was just free floating bed, and you know, in a boat that's just unacceptable. What if we flip one day? We're gonna be dead. So anyways, we removed that bed and we're gonna rebuild it absolutely same way, built in, so it's gonna be nice and safe. But it was really nice, it was very wide and comfortable. So we're just gonna repeat that in a more safe manner.
What I am the most pumped about is finally on the boat, I get a man cave or a workshop or a tool room, or maybe all three. Let's go take a look what I already started building in between spare time. This is on the starboard side because whenever you're coming into a dock somewhere, you always try to park starboard tie, which means that then you're sleeping on the port side. That way you have a nice beautiful view. You don't have people walking back and forth and banging on the boat. So the starboard side is generally the business side of the boat, both above and below. What kind of business side? This tool room has been custom designed for little short people. So what more could you ask for? Workbench, storage, and in the back where the water maker is, there's going to be a fully insulated wall with a door and access. And in here is where I'm putting the DC generator system, the exhaust, and any other goodies. So this is kind of going to be the equipment room. This is the tool room. For more technical details on the teak strips, there's already very thick insulation on the boat. I added wood strips out of teak, which then the teak strips will go over the top, so there'll be an air pocket between the actual wall and the insulation, because air and teak is going to give the very best transfer between heat and cold. So with this design, condensation is going to be minimized. I started doing the cabinet design for storage and hanging clothes and have them offset a little bit. But if you look at where the aisle originally was, which was here, we had to go like this. Now we can actually go like this up and down the boat and still have safety. I'm using marine plywood that is covered in teak only for the structures, because that's where I need to have strength. And then all the other cross pieces are going to be very light, small, 4mm. So again, weight has been a consideration, but we removed all these rooms and showers and plumbing and everything else and offset it with really clean storage. We also kept the forward cabin and the starboard side for storage and a bunk that'll fold down if we do have guests or someone spending the night. But this boat is designed with 2 forward watertight bulkheads. What we will be doing is we'll be cutting and putting a dog leg door watertight so we can enter the front sail locker and have our food, our stores, our grains, and other things, so if animals want to come have a party, they're not going to be able to enter the boat.
We decided to keep this head just in case if that one guest arrives, or if we do eat something bad in the end of the day. We are in Thailand where refrigeration is not present and we need 2 heads at the same time. I have no idea what's inside of this thing. I had to wake up at night and because I had stomachache. Our toilet broke. I didn't break it. Like everything on the boat, redundancy is safety.
I am redoing all the wiring in PVC conduit so that we have safety. It was just running in an insulated barrier along the aluminum. Okay, a boat doesn't have a lot of vibration like this, but anything along aluminum should have its own protection. So that's all being added in before the ceiling goes in place. The advantage about tearing apart a boat that already has been used is, in this case, I'm always running down, or Jana's running down to check the bilge.
So I went to check the shaft seal. There's a bunch of water there.
Does the bilge have any water? Is it safe? So I'm going to put a piece of clear acrylic over the top of the bilge area, and then on each side hatches that can access. So we'll be able to flip a switch, light up the whole bottom, and see whether or not a bilge pump is running, whether there's water coming in, or just peace of mind. We have the water tank and the fuel tank, 420 liters on each side of water and of fuel. And there was a sight gauge on each one, which is still there. But I've gone in and added tank sensors so that I can check the level on all tanks up at the Victron system. And that way we know what we're burning for fuel and what we're using for water. Huge advantage, this boat has access to the windlass and the chain locker from the inside. So instead of yelling and Jan and I going back and forth with radios, she can be right next to me, or I can even drop the anchor on my own. The problem with it is that you had to sit in the front and pull the chain because it was stacking up in the locker. The windlass also was down in this box. It was overheating and constantly breaking, which it was not working by the time the boat got here. So I pulled all that out and redesigned the locker, and we'll be adding a horizontal windlass, which then will have access and we'll be able to pull the chain from the inside instead of going outside. In the next video, I'm going to go more in detail about this because you spend 90% of the time at anchor, and anchoring is more important actually than sailing for most people. A hidden advantage to this is that open the inside hatch and wind automatically comes up and the rain goes down the anchor locker. So you have free air conditioning. So removing the quick windlass, which was giving a lot of problems, and replacing it with the low friends, the issue is that it didn't fit. So I had to do a small modification and cut the cleat off. And it's gonna fit in there just perfect now. It's what we had on Dawn Hunter way back, the steel boat. This thing is bulletproof. Another super dangerous thing that we learned about this vessel is there aren't any escape hatches in any of the cabins. They were on the drawings, but they weren't on the boat. So I was able to find 4 of the exact correct cabin. So we'll be cutting holes in all 4 cabins and adding these portholes. So if there is a fire or something happens, we have a way to get out of the bedroom or the bathroom or the shower. Having 7 years on the boat, from hurricanes to everything else you can imagine, I've learned that having a winch on the aft deck is priceless. Whether you're pulling up a dinghy or whether you have to pull something, or even if you're going to throw out a drogue, how are you going to get it back in? So we've added a 24-volt electric and also manual, and then shackles, so I can rig this and pull anything up the aft deck of the boat. Finally, wrapping things up, you're always looking for a line or some way to hook that drogue, or even if you have to go a long line, spring line if you're anchoring. So back in this location, I am designing a spooled motorized roller, and this is where all the line will be for that application. Big shout out to Dan. I asked him to do a little touch-up paint on the boat, and all the way at the upper deck, he did all of it painting and sanding. This boat now looks like a Porsche. So as always, when you paint one part of a boat and it looks amazing, guess what happens? The rest of it starts looking like shit. So I think Dan had a plan, because later on he probably knows he's going to get the rest of his work.
No, we're not repainting the boat. Putting it right here on camera. Oh, you guys can see I sweated to death just for you. And no sweat for William, because he's the one who's busting his ass on this boat and he's used to this heat.
I am definitely acclimated being in Thailand. 100% humidity, 95, 96 degrees. And when I do get an air conditioner, I'm freezing.
Thank you guys so much for watching, and tune in next week where we're gonna be putting this boat back together. We're gonna talk more about the winch upgrade, the painting.
You know, we set a date 3 months, and it's been 26 days, and we are actually, in my world, on schedule.
Let's see how it goes. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button, and what? Send it to your friends.
I'm thinking about batteries, and
I'm here to help, don't worry about it.